They laughed when the janitor bought coffee with coins until the lawyer read his will. Brattleboro, Vermont, 2014. A small town where everyone knew everyone, or so they thought. Ronald Read was 92 years old. For 25 years, he pushed a mop across the floors of the local JCPenney. Before that, he pumped gas for 17 years at a mobile station. His uniform was always the same. His jacket, worn and patched. His car, a beat-up Toyota, held together with duct tape. People pitied him. Some even whispered behind his back. "Poor old Ron," they'd say. Never amounted to much. They had no idea that this quiet janitor was sitting on a fortune worth $8 million. Ronald Read wasn't born rich. He was born in 1921 in a rural farmhouse with no running water, no electricity. His father was a farmer who struggled to put food on the table. Ron never went to college. In fact, he barely finished high school. At 20 years old, he was drafted into World War II. He served in North Africa and Italy. Saw things no young man should see. When he came home in 1945, he didn't talk about the war. He just went to work. First job? Pumping gas at a mobile station on Route 9. The pay was $1.25 an hour. But Ron didn't complain. He showed up every single day. Rain, snow, scorching heat. Didn't matter. While other guys his age were buying new cars and taking vacations, Ron Read was reading. Every night after his shift, he'd sit in the town library until it closed. Not fiction, not novels. He read the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, financial reports. People thought it was odd. Why is a gas station attendant reading about stocks? They'd laugh. Ron never answered. He just kept reading. So what was Ronald Read doing? He was investing, but not like the Wall Street guys in fancy suits. Ron had a simple strategy. Buy stock in companies that make things people need. Soap, toothpaste, electricity, medicine, boring stuff. Then do nothing. Just hold. While everyone else panicked during market crashes, Ron kept his stocks. 1987 Black Monday crash? He didn't sell a single share. 2008 financial crisis? He bought more. His secret wasn't genius. It was patience, something nobody has anymore. He bought shares in companies like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, AT&T, blue-chip stocks that paid dividends. Every quarter, small dividend checks would arrive in his mailbox. $50 here, $120 there. Most people would spend it. Ron? He used that money to buy more shares. It's called compound interest. Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. Ron Read lived it. But here's the thing. Nobody knew. Not his friends. Not his neighbors. Not even his own stepchildren. He drove the same old car. Wore the same patch jacket. Cut his own firewood to save on heating bills. People saw him collecting returnable bottles for 5 cents each. They assumed he was broke. The truth? Every month, he was depositing dividend checks. Sometimes $500. Sometimes $2,000. And every single penny went back into stocks. Ronald Read's daily routine never changed. Wake up at 5:30 a.m. Make instant coffee. Read the financial section. If he was still working, he'd head to JCPenney by 7. Push that mop until 3 p.m. Clock out. Drive to the library. Read until closing time. Then home. Dinner was simple. A can of soup. Maybe a sandwich. Nothing fancy. On weekends, he'd work in his garage, fixing things. Old radios. Broken lamps. Things other people threw away. His neighbors thought he was just a hoarder. They didn't realize this man understood value. He could fix a $5 radio instead of buying a new $50 one. That $45 saved? It bought another share of stock. Over 50 years, those small decisions compounded into millions. His stepson later said, "We thought he was cheap. We didn't understand he was wealthy." Ron never corrected them. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. There's a photo of him from the 1990s. He's standing outside his house, wearing that same brown jacket with the patches on the elbows. That jacket was over 40 years old. People made fun of it. Ron didn't care. He knew something they didn't. Real wealth isn't what you show. It's what you keep. June 2nd, 2014. Ronald Read died peacefully at age 92. The funeral was small. A handful of people from town. His stepchildren. A few former co-workers. The local lawyer handling his estate was there too. Attorney Lori Rowell. She'd prepared his will months earlier. Ron had been very specific about his wishes. After the service, Attorney Rowell gathered the family in her office. She opened the will, and what she read stunned everyone into silence. Ronald Read's estate was worth $8 million. $8 million. His stepchildren couldn't believe it. The janitor? The man who collected bottles for nickels? The guy with the duct tape car? Impossible. But it was true. The portfolio was methodical. 95 different stocks. All blue-chip companies. Some held for over 50 years. The math was simple but staggering. If Ron had invested just $300 per month starting in 1960, with average market returns of 10% annually, by 2014, that becomes $8 million. He didn't day trade, didn't chase hot stocks, didn't panic sell. He just waited. And a will? That shocked people even more. Ron left $2 million to his stepchildren. The remaining $6 million? He gave it away. $4.8 million went to the local hospital. Brooks Memorial Library received $1.2 million. The man who spent every evening in that library for 50 years just saved it from closing. The hospital used his donation to build a new wing. It's named after him, the Ronald Read Wellness Center. The janitor now has a building with his name on it. The story of Ronald Read went viral. News outlets across America covered it. The New York Times, Forbes, Wall Street Journal. Everyone wanted to know, how did a janitor become a millionaire? But they were asking the wrong question. Ronald Read didn't become a millionaire. He always lived like one. True millionaires don't need to show it. There's a famous study by Dr. Thomas Stanley. He researched actual millionaires for decades. His finding? Most millionaires don't drive luxury cars. They don't wear designer clothes. They live in modest homes. They invest quietly. They spend wisely. Ronald Read proved this perfectly. While his neighbors were buying bigger houses and newer cars, Ron was buying assets, things that grow in value. And here's the part that hurts. Most of those neighbors who pitied him, they retired broke. Social Security checks, maybe a small pension, living month to month. Ron retired with $8 million. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't a high-paying job. It was patience, discipline, and understanding one simple truth. It's not what you earn. It's what you keep and grow. A janitor making $50,000 a year who saves and invests $15,000 will die richer than a lawyer making $200,000 who spends $210,000. Ron understood this at age 25. Most people never learn it. Today, if you visit Brattleboro, Vermont, you'll see Ronald Read's legacy everywhere. The hospital wing that bears his name treats over 50 patients daily. Cancer treatments, heart surgeries, lives saved by a janitor's quiet generosity. The library he loved? It expanded, added computers, children's programs, all funded by the man who sat in the corner reading financial newspapers for 50 years. But the real legacy isn't the buildings. It's the lesson. After Ron's story went viral, something incredible happened. Teachers started using his story in classrooms, teaching kids about compound interest, financial literacy, the value of patience. One high school in Vermont created the Ronald Read Investment Club. Students invest small amounts, learn the same strategy Ron used. Some of those students are now in their 20s. Their portfolios are already worth $50,000, $80,000. They learn what Ron knew. Start early. Invest consistently. Stay patient. Time does the heavy lifting. Ron's attorney, Lori Rowell, said something powerful in an interview. She said, Ronald Read lived in a rich man's mind but a simple man's life. Most people do the opposite. They live a rich man's life in a poor man's mind, and they die broke. Ron died with $8 million and a 15-year-old jacket. Most CEOs will die with designer suits and empty bank accounts. Who's really rich? Ronald Read never gave a speech, never wrote a book, never went on TV. He just lived, quietly, intentionally, with purpose. And when he died, he left behind more than money. He left behind proof. Proof that you don't need a fancy degree, don't need a six-figure salary, don't need to be born rich. You just need patience, discipline, and the courage to live differently than everyone around you. While they're chasing the next new car, you're buying dividend stocks. While they're impressing strangers with designer clothes, you're letting compound interest work. While they're living paycheck to paycheck in a big house, you're building generational wealth in a modest one. Ronald Read died a multimillionaire, but he lived like a man who understood something most people never will. Real wealth isn't about what people see. It's about what you build when no one's watching. The janitor knew. Do you?